In this video I'm going to explain why I haven't been doing many jobs in the garden this week. It does contain some graphic descriptions, so probably not for the faint-hearted. Got a bit of a update on a couple of things and a list of jobs that I need to crack on with, since I haven't been doing much at all week. This big bit at the back of the house is an extension. Used to be a conservatory, and this hedge next to it was grown really as a privacy hedge, because in a conservatory with a clear plastic roof, neighbours could see in from the upstairs. So we grew this hedge quite tall. It's probably, I don't know, 3 meters tall, which is right at the limit really of what I can cut myself with the electric hedge trimmers that I've got. Now the hedge doesn't grow particularly well because it's a bit of a dark spot, but the way I'm looking now is south, which helps, and the top of the hedge grows nicely, but further down where it's a bit dark and dingy, it doesn't grow so well. But it's a job for this time of the year to cut the hedge, and I've done that, believe it or not. It's not perfect, is it? But I got up early Saturday morning, cut the hedge, up on the ladders, cut all along the top and everything. And then I was about to go next door and do the other side of it, because there's parts I can't reach, when I spotted like a leaf. You can see it there, there's a leaf that needs trimming. I was up on the ladders at this end, and I rested the hedge trimmers on the roof. It's a really low pitch roof, and they seemed, as I did it I thought that's a bit dodgy, but it seems to be okay. Came down the ladders, shuffled them along. I was just about to go back up, and I heard what was obviously the sound of the hedge trimmers coming down the roof. And then it's a bit patchy, I can't quite remember what happened exactly after that, but they were coming down. I was like here, and they were coming down on top of me basically. And I put my hand up, I think to try and catch them. Could have just been to stop it from hitting my face, I don't know. But either way, I think I did catch it. I don't think it hit the ground, so I caught it by catching the blade. Here's the hedge trimmer, and somewhere over here is where I caught it basically. And these are very sharp tips on these blades, and as you can see, this is the finger I caught it with. This is the finger I caught it with, and I basically had this shape, like a squared off rectangle, missing from, well, not missing really, but I cut that shape in my finger, and the skin was flapping about everywhere. There was blood everywhere, and I just squeezed it as hard as I can to stop the bleeding, but it didn't stop. And after 2 hours, I went to A&E, and they basically wrapped it up really tight, uncomfortably tight, to the point where it was going purple, and that stopped the bleeding. They only did that for sort of 20 minutes or so. Then they dressed it, and this was Saturday sort of lunchtime, and it's now Wednesday evening. So the moral of the story is obviously to be really careful when you're working with power tools. You know, one slight mistake and you could really hurt yourself, which is annoying and painful. You could actually lose a finger, or, you know, when I was in A&E, get my finger sorted, the guy next to me was in A&E because he'd fallen off a ladder whilst trimming his hedge. So it's quite a dangerous job actually, trimming a hedge. And what I'm going to do, now that this isn't a conservatory with a clear roof anymore, I'm actually going to take some height off the hedge, because it doesn't need to be that high. And if I take a foot even off of that, it's going to make it much easier to cut and less dangerous to cut. Of course, it happened to my right hand, and I'm right-handed, so that's brilliant. So since Saturday lunchtime, I've not really been able to do anything, so that's why my list of jobs in the garden is growing. It's mid-June, so I haven't really got time to be not doing anything. What I have been able to do is water, so I've been doing lots of that because it's nice and dry and nice and warm, or hot even. But my main job is to fill up this bin, because this is the garden waste. We pay £20 a year for the privilege of not throwing it in our general waste. And as you know, if you've watched any of my videos, I am a economical gardener, let's say. Bit of a title git anyway, but I want to make sure that that's full. I want to get my money's worth. And it's not just that. They come every 2 weeks, and if I miss one now, if I leave an empty bin now, then I'm forever catching up. So I need to get that done. I've been using this liquid seaweed, which I got from Poundland. £2 it was, believe it or not. Poundland don't sell things just at £1 anymore, probably Brexit or something like that. But it seems alright. It makes up to it makes 300 litres. Who knows if it's any good? Doesn't even state any ingredients in there. Hopefully there's some seaweed in there and it's not just water that they've coloured with food colouring or something. And I've been using it everywhere, once a week for the past couple of weeks. So I need to keep doing that. In my last video, I think I had my paddling pool out, and we had it out for only about a week and a half. You can see sort of the outer ring is the size of it. It's quite a big one. But I expected the grass to look like that, you know. I thought it would be a bit light. But in the middle, it's just, I don't know what's happened there really. It absolutely stunk as well, of like, well, manure or something, I suppose. So I can only think that I put some manure down under the grass when I levelled this area last year. It's hard to tell, but the whole garden's on a slope. But I just made that bit level, and maybe I used manure to lift the turf up. I'm not quite sure, I can't remember, but I'm gonna sow some seeds. I've got some grass seeds, so I'm just gonna sow that in. That's another little job. Now, great news, my biggest Trachycarpus Fortuneii is flowering. There we go, there's one spathe there. There's another. And another, that's the most advanced one. Let me try and get a better angle of that. It's sort of, they're all sort of like, almost feels like that wants to be the other side of this. I'm not quite sure if it does or not really. This is the first time that I've had a Trachycarpus flower. So quite exciting. I'm hoping it's female, and I hope that I can get some seeds from it. There's another one coming up there, look. I think that's it. We'll see how we get on. I've been wondering for a few weeks whether to trim off some of the lower leaves, Can't quite make my mind up. They're perfectly healthy, these lower leaves, nothing wrong with them. But it's developing a nice trunk now, and you can't see it because there's so many leaves on it. But on the other hand, it's a nice full crown, so I honestly don't know what I'm going to do there yet. Lemmy Pine is looking fine. Now, it's had these sort of cones on it for a year or so. Some lower down, some higher up. Mostly higher up really, but I don't really know what's going on there, because my understanding is cones hold the seeds and then they sort of open up and the seeds fall out. Okay, that's how a pine cone sort of works, but they just seem to have been in this state really for about a year. So not quite sure what's going on there. It's sort of growing again, you know, each growing point at the end of a leaf is coming to growth again. There's a sort of white, almost sort of wafer-like material, but you sort of rub that off, then you can see the new leaves are going to form from there, and it does grow quite fast, this does. I reckon in height it's about 1.5 foot, maybe even 2 foot a year at this age. And I don't necessarily want it to grow that quick because it's in this raised bed. It's sort of at the at an appropriate height now. If it carries on like that, then it's possibly going to look a bit big for this bed. I've also got several Cordlines flowering, including this one. And I've taken seeds and germinated seeds from this tree before. There's another one over here, the one that sort of is on its last legs, I think it's flowering now, and that might be the last thing it does, because as I understand it, flowering and producing seed does take a lot of energy out of the plant, and it was looking very ropey before. There's actually, there's a hole there, look in the soil. That's where I had a stake in before, because the trunk's sort of fallen over. I've just left it to do whatever it's going to do, and then I'll pick up the pieces afterwards. I've also got a Cordline of a similar size, actually, if not smaller, in the front garden, which is flowering as well. Now that is much healthier. I think there's something about this year, the strange weather we've had seems to be tricking Cordlines into flowering quite early. However, saying that, this older one and its sibling over here haven't flowered yet, which is good news because I do actually like a solitary trunk. So that's it from me and my poorly finger for this week, or for this episode. Am I calling it an episode? This edition, this video. And thank you for watching, if indeed you still are.